All right, everyone, welcome to the Superhuman Powered Life podcast. This is season 2. We have an amazing guest here today. This is Dr. Ben Rall. Ben, actually, I'm going to stop that. Did I say your last name right?
So it's just like ball, but Rall. So Rall,
yeah,
just like it
so
sounds.
thank you.
Yep. Yep.
All right, start over again. That's why I'm like, oh shit, I should ask that before. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to the Superhuman Powered Life podcast. This is where we're going to be diving deep this season into chiropractic care. Questions from around the world have come in, and we are going to answer them. So today we have Dr. Ben Rall. He was born and raised in the great state of South Dakota, where he owned and operated one of the largest chiropractic and wellness clinics in the United States. For the last 20 years, he has worked with businesses, churches, and corporations of all sizes and created an unmatched corporate wellness program for today's business model. He was the official chiropractor for Team USA Wrestling, Weightlifting, and Judo at the 2012 London Olympics. How cool is that, people? In 2016, Dr. Ben authored the book Cooperative Wellness, in which he lays out a powerful, simplified approach to help readers be part of the healthcare solution and achieve wellness for themselves and those around them. He authored his second book, Designed to Heal, a 365-day daily devotional in 2023. He's also, the host of the 5-star rated podcast, Designed to Heal, that shares stories, research, insights, and helpful information in the world of health and wellness. He currently resides in Orlando, Florida with his wife, Megan, and 2 children, Jack and Grace. He's the owner of Achieve Wellness Clinic, where he currently practices and sees hundreds of patients every week in the Central Florida area. He is committed to educating and empowering individuals on how to apply a vitalistic model of healthcare to their lives and to live well. Dr. Ben, awesome. Hey. I am super pumped to have you here.
Man, I'm excited. Thank you, and I'm super thankful to be on this and get to talk about one of my favorite things, chiropractic. So right. I wish there was more shows like yours that spend the time, not just talking to each other, because that's cool. Like, we love each other, chiropractors, but really to the people that need it, right? And so you taking that initiative, I'm super excited. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. It's been I'm a second generation chiropractor. I think my audience mostly knows that. And I absolutely love this profession. I would die for this profession. I go to jail for this profession. And I'm doing something crazy myself. I'm on a state board at the moment. So that's, that's a little intense, but it's necessary to keep chiropractic great for the public.
Yeah.
So I want to start off, what I did, and I want to let the audience know, is we actually went and dissected lots of different questions that have come across the internet, ChatGPT, lots of different places. And I came up with 10. If we go through all 10, great. If we don't make it through, that's also okay. But these are the most common questions people around the world are asking. So Dr. Ben, you're on the hot seat here.
Here we go.
How would you describe chiropractic care to a patient? What is it?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that often is used negatively or sometimes can seem frustrating for people learning about chiropractic is, gosh, it seems like there's all these different things, right? I met this chiropractor, they did it this way. I will tell you, I think that's one of the greatest gifts of chiropractic is that. So it's actually, I think, a positive to us. So one of the things you'll find, I know you're going to be doing this, many doctors, my answer will probably be different than the next person to some degree, okay? Now, there's some through lines in it, so don't let that frustrate you as a listener. Like, well, but Dr. Ben said this, and then Dr. Josh said this, and well, what is chiropractic? So if I was answering that to a person that's going to come into my office, right? We are a profession that's based on the understanding that the body is designed to heal, vitalism, right? That the body's a self-healing, self-regulating organism. And so my job as a chiropractor is to find interferences to that, things that are impeding that, primarily focusing on the nerve system. Why the nerve system? Because that's the master controller of the system of the body. Why we're kind of known as back doctors is because that happens to be where the spinal cord runs down. So my first and primary job is to assess that system for you, because that's what interfaces us with our world. That's how we experience each other. That's how we experience emotions and love and life, all of that. And so we focus on the nerve system. Now, and some chiropractors are really focused on that. And then you'll find out there is, because of our practice parameters, some doctors focus on other lifestyle measures. You'll find nutrition information. You'll find exercise and detox. And I think that's awesome. I celebrate that. I'm kind of a straight chiropractor, the term that they use sometimes. I mean, I'm pretty focused on the spine, the nervous system. I feel that's my primary job. That's what makes us unique. And then we deliver adjustments to that. Adjustments can be delivered in a variety of different ways, which again, I think is awesome. It gives the patient a lot of different approaches to getting pressure off of their nerve system. But I guess if I was going to try to put it in a bucket there, Doc, I would say we assess the nerve system, right, with objective, subjective tests, and then we find ways to remove interference so your body can heal the way that it's designed.
That's awesome. I love that. It's simple yet profound, because what is a nervous system control, right? Every single cell, tissue, organ in the whole body, and that's the power behind what chiropractors do.
And we didn't make that up. That's
yeah.
like the definition of the nerve system in the medical textbook. Not that I need their permission to say that, but that's what we're talking. That's like a chiropractic opinion there, you know.
Exactly. So now we know what chiropractic care is, what we focus on. The next most common question is, what is a chiropractic adjustment?
There we go. Part of me wants to say that a chiropractic adjustment is, to me, one of the most profound experiences that you can have in healthcare. Chiropractic adjustment, in many ways, saved my life. The reason I ended up with the Olympic team was I was training for the Olympics in 1996 as a boxer. That was my whole goal and dream. All of a sudden, I wasn't like you, Doc, where I grew up in a chiropractic family. I grew up in more the traditional medical family. And so here I am training the Olympic Training Center. I'm having all these digestive issues. I go to the medical system. They do all the medical tests, scope me, scan me, find out I have what they call precancerous lesions in my digestive system. So many that they stopped counting. I said, what do? They said, you take these drugs. I said, for how long? They said, forever. All right. So I suffered like that for 3.5 years. Every 6 months, I'd go get my scans redone. I gained 70 pounds. I got kicked out of the Olympic Training Center. I was never able to compete for my dream. Somebody then suggested I see a chiropractor. So I went to this chiropractor. He assessed my nerve system, like question 1. All right. And he said, hey, listen. And he was the first person that really explained to me that my body's designed to heal. And he said, your body didn't just forget how to digest food when you were 17. Like, something is causing that. So once he assessed that, he found out in my body, for me in particular, where there was that pressure on my nerve system. Began the process of delivering, in this case, a hands-on adjustment, okay, where he actually pushed on my spine with his hands. He used a technique called Gonstead, and that was a very powerful adjustment for me. I've been on these drugs every day for 3.5 years, 2 drugs a day. Within 1 week, I got off the medications. I lost 67 pounds in 4 months. It changed my life, and I became a chiropractor. So when people ask me, what is a chiropractic adjustment? I almost get a little emotional about this. Chiropractic adjustment saved my life. One of the medications I was on killed 33,000 people a year. I may not even be here to tell this story, because although it was so simple, Doc, right? Like, it sounds simple, but ironically, it's not. You're interfacing with the most dynamic system in the body, the nerve system. So a chiropractic adjustment. Now, some people do very light techniques. Some people use instruments nowadays, handheld instruments, clickers, torque release this. Some use their hands. I'm kind of old school. I use my hands, right? I like to hear bones make noise, but I also use an instrument and drop tables and things like that. So the adjustment can be delivered a lot of different ways. The purpose of the adjustment is to remove interference to the nerve system so the brain and body can communicate the way God designed it. And then really, the sky's the limit as far as what are the implications going to be for you and your health and your body there. Yeah. But if a person is wondering about the adjustment, there's people that adjust so light, they don't even know if anything happened. Right. And that's okay. That's a technique. And then there's other ones where you'll definitely know that something happened, right? You'll feel something there. So I don't know your take on that, but yeah.
No, I think that's great. It's a great point to make. We'll call old school. I'm an old school chiropractor. Okay. I'm a hands-on guy. Do I use some instruments from time to time? Sure. Do I do some soft tissue or soft touch, if you will? Yes. But all on that same focus, right? To address the nervous system dysfunction, the misalignment, the subluxation, this fancy word that gets used in our profession. So yeah, I can't agree with you more. It's a very profound thing. I never had an experience, thank God, like yours, and thank God you had your experience. As crazy as that sounds, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't have been able to take care of the Olympic team. It is so much positive, I believe, that came from that crisis. And how many people that we put our hands on every day do we know that, hey, we may have prevented something?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, we don't know, right? The body's that amazing.
I've heard them called silent miracles, right? It's the things that we never know that would have happened, but because thankfully we caught them early. I had a little girl that just came in. She's one of my staff who works from home. One of her daughters had fallen and hit her head, and it was a bad situation. Thankfully, no emergency situation, but she did mess up her neck, right? And this little girl came in, and so I got to adjust her. And I thought this just yesterday, Doc. as I was adjusting this little girl. She's like, 3.5 years old, and a very light adjustment. Okay. Just, checked her out and she needed to be adjusted. And as I got done, just quietly in my mind, I thought, so crazy. Who knows what this could have turned into? This could have been the 17-year-old girl with migraines and a bad menstrual cycle, and she's stressed out and she gets migraines every day and she gets put on medication, and that messes up her body. And I thought, but it ends up being this, few second adjustment on a Monday afternoon, and we don't ever really think about it. And it really is that amazing. Yeah. Chiropractic adjustment's amazing. I always feel, you probably say this too, I don't know what it's like for people that don't get adjusted. I can't imagine not getting adjusted regularly.
Yeah. I agree. I'm a once a weeker for 45 years, So since my first breath, if you will.
That's awesome.
So let's go to the next question. It may be kind of redundant since where we're going, but the next question is, what conditions do chiropractors help with?
Oh gosh. Well, there's a loaded. Now for the typical, maybe a listener, the average, just layperson goes, that sounds like a normal question. Now us chiropractors, us kind of old schoolers, we're like, ooh, what do we mean? We don't really treat anything. Okay. At the foundation, you could say we treat subluxation, but we don't really even love that term treat. Okay. And because we see the body differently. I remember one of my professors in school, he said, if somebody lives to be 100 and then they die, medicine asks, how do they die? Chiropractor asks how they live. Chiropractic is the study of life. Okay. So when we understand, so that doctor that adjusted me, he did not treat my digestive issues. He did not even cure my digestive issues. He took pressure off of my nerve system, so that innate intelligence, that divine intelligence, that power that allows us to see each other and talk and listen and hear and breathes our lungs and beats our hearts while we sleep, that power then can operate the way that it's designed to operate. Okay, so in my own world, Doc, I say I don't treat anything. Okay. Now I've been doing this 20 years. I've probably seen over 20,000 patients, probably like yourself. And it's like, but I've seen, and this is how I say, but I've seen almost everything heal through chiropractic care. Okay. Now, some of it would almost be unbelievable to people, right? They wouldn't, if we'd start telling stories here, they'd say, then we'd sound crazy again, right? The stuff that we've seen get well through chiropractic care. So I don't even need to go on, but I would tell you that digestive, sleep, one of the funniest side effects, air quotes, of chiropractic is the amount of people that sleep so well when they start getting adjusted.
So true.
I mean, if we were going to say what we did, it would sound crazy. And this is how we get a bad name sometimes, because people say, you guys think you heal everything. You guys think you cure everything. The funny thing is, I literally think I cure nothing. The body does. The power that God put in the body does. I just remove the interference. And then, they heal. So digestive issues, sleep issues, organ issues, thyroid issues, migraines are honestly why though? Because it's the nerve system, and the nerve system is the master controller. So anything that our nerve system touches, and if there's interference and we can remove it, then just the law of gravity, your body's going to heal or improve. And so I say that everybody should have a chiropractor. And of course I'm a chiropractor, but a dentist would say this, right? You have a spine, it should be maintained so your brain-body connection can exist, healthy. We live in gravity, so it takes a toll, and texting and computers and sedentary lifestyles. So there's really, Doc, and I laugh about this sometimes. I know I'm taking a long time on your questions.
No, go. This is for everybody.
I think it's so funny. I think about the results that we get in our office. We just take them for granted. Like, most people just get phenomenally better. Like, it's wild. Like, I think about the rates of healing we see in our office. Like, if I worked in traditional medical care, I would lose my mind thinking about how many people just get sicker and put on more drugs and do worse. Like, people come in, start getting adjusted, and get better. Not because I'm magic, because the body's designed to heal. And when we do that and you remove interference, it gets better. And so if you're listening to this, it almost sounds too good to be true, but it's not. It's just that's how your body's designed. And because of that, you get to experience the benefit. And chiropractic is, a phenomenal profession for addressing that system.
Yeah. And what I think is actually not funny, but so true. One of the, when we give a first adjustment to a new person in our practice, I let them know, I said, hey, one of the most common things you're going to sense tonight or even tomorrow is you're probably going to have the best night of sleep you've ever had. They go, why? I'm like, we just went over the nervous system thing, right?
Yeah.
Just see how you do. We'll chat tomorrow in your next visit or whatever it may be. And that 9 times out of 10, oh my God, I had the best night of sleep I've ever had. And I go, yeah, isn't that cool? Your body is pretty intelligent, isn't it?
It's so great.
right?
And you know what I love about it is it's such a good example because we know that sleep is part of healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Restorative sleep. And so I love that. I love that that's one of the quote side effects of chiropractic is better sleep because it's so indicative of increased healing in the body. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorites. Like one of the reasons I know chiropractic is so amazing because it's like, man, it makes you have an awesome sleep and you just heal, so much better and faster. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next question. Here we go. So the
All right.
next one that came up on the Google machine in ChatGPT was what makes chiropractic inherently safe?
Oh, this is probably one of my favorite questions, actually, because ironically, a lot of people think that chiropractic is inherently unsafe, right? I mean,
Yeah.
to some degree, not maybe people that come to our offices, of course, but you do hear that, right? People ask,
Mhm.
can it cause these things? Now, this will get some people a bit fired up. Probably not your audience. I'm sure you've got a very educated audience. But when we think about healthcare and we think about risks associated with that, let me tell you, there is no safer profession than chiropractic. All right. And the reason is we're the largest licensed drugless healing profession in the world, in the United States for sure. I mean, but that's where the most chiropractors are. And it's so incredible. The reason that it's so inherently safe, it's a great question because we don't put drugs in the body. All right. We don't do dangerous surgeries. We don't remove organs from you. We're not manipulating, even though that word's used. We're actually just removing interference. I mean, it's like if you had a big rock on your foot and I lift the rock off and you'd say, well, why is that inherently safe? Because I just removed the big rock out of your foot. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
say, like, well,
Yeah.
what's the risk of taking the rock off my foot? You'd say, can you just take the rock out? Or we use the metaphor sometimes in chiropractic, right? The rock in your shoe. Like it's only good when you remove the rock from your shoe. So now contrast that, and I'm very serious about this. Contrast that with the medical system, the current medical system. By different studies that use, Journal of the American Medical Association has done this several times. It's considered the third leading cause of death. That's on probably I'm being generous here. I've got studies that show it's the number one cause of death when you add up all of the things it does. I know you're familiar with that,
Mhm.
but there was one that just came out earlier this year talking about just misdiagnosis causing up to 800,000 serious injuries and deaths. And that was just on misdiagnoses. So
And
chiropractic,
oops.
oops, I'm sorry, bad day, didn't
Yeah.
see it, sorry. Properly prescribed medications alone, third leading cause of death. So like I always tell people, I'm sure you do, I don't know what your lines are, doc, but I'm always like, listen, the most dangerous thing you did regarding this visit was driving here, right? Like once you're here inside the walls of this office, or even some people ask, about like neck injuries or things like that. It's more dangerous to get your hair done at the salon, okay? Or to turn around in your car to look behind you as far as your neck goes. Now, in our office and your office, we do testing to make sure that that your body is safe to adjust. I will say this though, just so people understand, I've never had anybody in my practice that I could not adjust. Now, there was areas I might not be able to because they've got rods in their spine or, things like that. But there's usually an area that we can hopefully get to safely, and that's why we do exams in our office and scans and testing and x-rays, digital, like all these, and different doctors do different techniques. But when it comes to safety, and I don't know if chat GPT came up with that question, but I love the word inherently safe. It's inherently safe because it works with the power of the body and it doesn't force or
Mhm.
manipulate we're just it's which is again, doc, one of like the most amazing things about our profession, right? Is it is so safe. People just come in and get better. Maybe occasionally some people get sore after the first adjustments, depending on technique, and we warn people that just like I started a new workout routine, so I've been sore lately, and I'm like, but
That sounds
exercise isn't.
dangerous,
Yeah, I was
actually.
gonna say exercise isn't bad for me, and so how do you answer that typically for people, doc?
Yeah, how is
The
it inherently safe?
Yeah,
I'm in New York City and
yeah,
people like data.
okay.
So I ask people if they've heard of insurance actuaries, and I get them scared for a second. They look at me like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I said, well, they're the ones that go through all of the numbers. They write my premium for my malpractice insurance. I have malpractice, your GP has malpractice, the neurosurgeon, the OB all have malpractice. We all have the same base rates. It's 1 million, 3 million rates. Then if you're in a hospital, you have more, you have layers. But let's just talk about
Yeah.
the general stuff. In New York City can range from the premiums for medical can go from about 40,000 upwards of 250,
Okay.
250,000.
Yeah.
And here's the scary part. It's based on how many people get hurt and killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's scary to say, but I want you to pay attention to this. If we now look at chiropractic care as a comparison, I'll ask them, well, where do you think we stand? The GP is maybe 40,000, the neurosurgeon maybe 250,000. Where am I? And they're like, 45? I go, how about 1,700 bucks?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
give or take.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they look at me, like the deer in the headlights, and I go, the guy that writes the malpractice probably has to pay more for insurance than I do.
Totally. I
So,
love it. Yeah.
so I
The
use
numbers
that a
don't lie,
lot.
and they set the number. We don't have any input in it. It's just based
No,
on how many people do we hurt and kill, and how much did they have to pay for that? And the reality is we don't.
yeah. So I mean, I love that, but
Yeah.
it's inherently safe.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
soreness is maybe part of the game. Listen, you've had some degenerative arthritic change, or you've been in a
Sure.
sports injury or a car accident, or just, have your head over your cell phone for the last 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're changing things, right? We're changing things in your
Yeah.
body, and sometimes change is a little challenging internally. So,
Mm-hmm.
in a good way, just
Yeah.
like soreness with exercise.
Right.
All right, next question. Here we go. We may have already touched on this, but you can dive in. It says, how does chiropractic care different from other medical treatments? And I know we don't like
Yeah.
the word, but there we go. Are you tired of feeling stuck? Low energy, stubborn weight, and endless fatigue? Teammate Wellness is here to help. Our bioactive precision peptides are backed by cutting-edge science to support your metabolism, boost energy, and improve muscle recovery. These peptides communicate with your body's innate wisdom to unlock better health and vitality. Stop settling and start thriving today. Visit lifestylelocker.com/peptides to learn more and take the first step towards your transformation. Once again, that's lifestylelocker.com/peptides. Now back to the show.
Yeah. I've heard this said before, DC, that's our degree, Doctor of Chiropractic, but sometimes you'll hear people say it's Doctor of Cause, right? We're trying to get to the cause of the problem. So we move, as close to, nothing is perfect, but so somebody might say, hey, I'm having inflammation in my back and that's causing pain. So a medical doctor says, hey, let's give you an anti-inflammatory, let's give you a cortisone shot or some pills. We would say in our brain, the way we think is, what's causing that inflammation? Is it a misalignment? Is it posture? Is it locked? Is the joint not moving? Who knows? Is what's going on? We want to find out best we can. So you don't have to take medication daily for the rest of your life, which, by the way, isn't actually getting to the cause of the problem. So our approach, again, we're all still human, so it's hard to always know exactly what's going on in this person's life. We're, have to listen to what they tell us, but we're trying to find out what's causing that. In chiropractic, we use the 3 T's as commonly described, like toxins, thoughts, and traumas. Traumas make sense. I fell down the stairs. I got in a car accident. There's probably a physical component. Toxins is become a bigger deal, right? In these last years, people are becoming more aware of that. The things that we eat, injections, foods, toxic chemicals, things like that. Those are toxic to our body. Body has to deal with those. And then what's interesting, I'm sure you know this, Doc, is, thoughts, I think, don't get appreciated. And the way I've heard it said, our founder of our profession, D.D. Palmer, he actually said that about 95% of subluxation, he said, had to do with mental, right? Our mindset. And so a lot of people think it's a slip and the fall, and you live up north, so the icy sidewalks. That's real, that happens. But I would tell you, my concern for most of my patients is trying to help them understand how to view health, how to view their body's ability to heal. And that is most powerful. So I guess the best answer I can give there is, we're trying to get to the cause of the problem. We're not really interested in giving it a label. We don't need to make up a name for it in Latin that sounds fancy. We just want to help your body heal and function the way that it's designed to. And we focus on removing those interferences. Medicine generally is adding something, actually oftentimes adding interferences, which then is masking the problem. And so it really is kind of about as opposite approach as you can get. Even though you might take a pill and feel better, or you take an adjustment and feel better, the reason that you're better is dramatically different based on those two things. One is better because the cause of the problem is gone. One is better because we're masking it, you're not feeling it, but the cause is actually still there. The rock is still in the shoe, metaphorically. Chiropractic wants to take the rock out of the shoe and say, hey, look at that. Medicine says, hey, take this pill so you don't feel the rock in your shoe. It's about the best as I can explain it.
No, I think that's really, really powerful, and I like that you said, earlier, doctors of cause. We try to get to the root. We try to get to the beginning of the problem. It's
Yeah.
not, hey, listen, how can we paint this symptom? And I love using the example. In the city, people don't really drive much,
Mm.
but it's like taking that electrical tape and putting it over the check engine light when it comes
Oh,
on. You're like, cool, we're good, good, and then the wheels come off
yeah. Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
thing later. So I agree 100%. So that's a great answer. So this is going to be, so just for everybody listening, this next question is going to be so different
Mm.
for, I think, every chiropractor we're going to speak to and interview is what can I expect during a
Mm.
chiropractic visit? And let's say it this way, not the first visit where
Okay.
they may do the exam,
Yeah.
not the second visit where they review the findings of the exam. You're coming in, let's just say that first month or first 2 months of care.
Yeah. So great question. I would just as a caveat to that first part though, know this, even those first few visits, I won't talk about that, but that's going to probably be a different experience than you are
Mm-hmm.
used to in the typical medical. So I would say it's okay to expect it to be different, but again, I would say that's good. If the existing model was working well, there would be no need for our profession. We would go do something else. You want it to be different, right? It's good that we're different. We're looking at different things, just like that doctor that when I went into and he found pressure on my nerve system through my spine and gave an adjustment, no other doctor had looked at that, right? It would have been weird if he did all the same tests and then was like, okay, he would just give me the same answer. So
Yes.
that difference is good. Now, on a day-to-day in an office, typically, and it's great, you're going to get different answers. And I would tell you, find that doctor that you resonate with. Find that doctor that you jive with, okay? Because you're going to probably be seeing them more often than you see your typical medical doctor. Okay. Meaning, and again, that's a good thing. Okay. Just like you see your dentist every day, but you happen to see him in your bathroom with your toothbrush. Okay. And you might go get checked on, every 6 months or a few months at the office, but you're engaging in hygiene of your teeth on a daily basis. Chiropractic care, wellness care, vitality, this proactive healthcare model that chiropractic is great at, you're going to be seen fairly often. Now, in my office, our visits are pretty quick. All right. You're not going to be seeing me for, an hour or half an hour because I've put out a plan for how I need to care for your spine. So delivering an adjustment, generally, the way I deliver them is pretty efficient. Okay. It doesn't take a long time. I adjust my patients the same way I adjust my family, the same way I adjust my kids, the same way I get adjusted. All right. So it's not about how long it takes. All right. Now, some doctors do different things. Some do more soft tissue work. Some do massage stuff. I don't. I do what I'm, skilled at, which is delivering chiropractic adjustments. So adjustments pretty quick. Now, there might be some other things that doctor does in their office to, pre and post adjustment, stretching and different things or rehabilitation, depending on where you're at in your care. But the primary core that needs to happen in a chiropractic office, my opinion, is that they're going to address your nerve system. That's going to be done by some type of adjustment, hands-on, maybe an instrument. That process takes as long as it takes to analyze the spine that day and deliver a safe adjustment. And then go on from there. So it can vary. The reason that we try to have it be as efficient as we can, Doc, is because I want it to be something that people can integrate into their life on a regular basis, right? If the biggest complaint we hear about typical healthcare is I got to go sit there, wait an hour, do nothing, read a golf magazine, go in the room, don't even meet with them. They come home with a drug. Like we try to get right to the point of why you're there. I respect your time. Everybody's busy. Let's get you adjusted. Power's on. Have an awesome day. High five. And see you later. People practice differently than that, but you asked me, and that's my answer. Yeah,
for sure. I know where to get a lot of different answers, but I think there's definitely going to be a theme.
Yeah,
for sure, as we go through. All right, so this is the follow-up then.
Okay.
How many sessions will I need? I get that question usually on the first visit. Doc, how many times do I have to come here?
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer the question. I'll let you.
Well, yeah. Oh man, these are all. I remember kind of learning these even as a doctor, right? As you grew up in it, so it's probably hard for. It's like you meet somebody that grew up in the church. They're like, well, when did you, start learning about God? You're like, I don't know. I just always did, right? It's like, you've probably never asked yourself like, how often do I get adjusted? Because you're like, since I was born. All right, my kids will have that same answer as being born into chiropractic. Now, the funny answer that we say sometimes, right, is only as long as you want to stay healthy, right? That's kind of the funny answer that we say, right? Different than the medical kind of paternalistic medical model, which is like, you do what I say, you take, 3 drugs doses a day. I always look at it like, ultimately, the patient is the one that chooses how they want to address their healthcare, right? How many times do you want to brush your teeth? Now, I offer care based on science that we know. You suggested earlier, you do weekly, you get adjusted weekly. I get adjusted weekly. And that for me is, number one, I feel great. But number two, there's actually science behind that. When joints aren't moving properly, they begin degenerating. They begin breaking down. And that can happen as early as 7 days, 7 to 11 days. So why would I not want to make that recommendation for my patients? Now, that doesn't mean every patient follows that. That doesn't mean every patient says, okay, doc, yes, sir. And matter of fact, lifestyle fits into this. I've got some people that need more adjustments than that on a regular basis. I've got people that need, I would say, potentially need less than that because of other lifestyle things that they do. So maintaining your spine, we need to see more like how we maintain our teeth or how we maintain maybe our car. It's regular. You have to really break free from that medical mindset. So how long do you have to keep coming here? You don't have to do anything. It's your health, all right? Hopefully, you see the value in maintaining and caring for your spine, which we live in gravity. You only get one of them, right? It's the lifeline of your body. It's the backbone of your body. It houses your nerve system. I suggest regular adjustments for the rest of your life, as we said earlier, from birth to death. And some people say, oh, well, that's crazy. Well, let me guess again, just my friends, when they give you your cholesterol drug, when they put me on that medication for my digestive system, how long was I supposed to take that?
Right.
Forever. Forever. And all it did for me was cover my symptoms and give me side effects and make me worse. So maintaining and getting a chiropractic adjustment, even though it's more powerful than this, but just in my mind, how I look at it, it's like regular exercise. It's like eating healthy. Now, it's different than those things, okay? None of them replace, right? Exercise doesn't replace eating good, doesn't replace an adjustment. They're different. They're important. They're valuable. But I promote regular wellness adjustments in my office for everybody. And then it's up to you, though. Like, I can't mandate you to get adjusted. I don't believe in mandates of jabs any more than mandates of adjustments, okay? I believe that it should be valuable to you based on understanding the physiology. And ultimately, doc, you feel great. Like, I mean, I don't want to talk you into getting adjusted. I want to teach you. And then you go, wow, I feel great when I get adjusted. You've been doing this long enough, as I have, that you get the people that fall away from care for a while, and then they come back maybe 6 months later, a year later, and they always say the same thing every time, right? Oh my gosh, I should never have quit, right? I'm so glad to be back. I feel so much better when I'm here, yada, yada, yada. I would say most people just don't realize how bad they feel. They're used to functioning at a lower level. And so when you start to get adjusted regularly, you just kind of feel what it's like to function at a higher level, just like your podcast talks about.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I, use the analogy is, if you needed glasses to see, being unadjusted is you get used to walking around with blurry vision, and that's normal. That's great. You get adjusted, you put the glass on, and everything is in HD. You're going, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
And, I had this experience this past couple of weeks, same exact thing we're talking about. Like, doc, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm back.
Yeah.
Why'd I stop? I'm like, I don't know why you stopped. Listen, we're not here to, our arms are always open and welcoming you back.
Yeah.
That's what we say, and to your point, people have to choose. There's no mandate. It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
It's chiropractic's for everybody. It's got to fit in their life the right way for them. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got that. Some of these are going to be maybe a little redundant, but it says, are chiropractic adjustments painful?
So I'd say by and large, no. All right. I would say most often significantly relieving. I know when I get adjusted, I don't know how you are, doc. I just want to lay there for a few seconds afterwards. And I just like soaking in the adjustment, right? I would say most people, it's incredibly relieving, relaxing. It's like they can take a deep breath again, right? They just feel better. Now, again, there's different techniques. If you're concerned about that, let your doctor know, and then you can usually ease into that care. Okay, right? Like, and you probably got people like this. They're like,
sure.
They're like, can you give it to me harder, doc? They want everything to, and then the person on the next table is like, are you going to do that to me? And I'm kind of a big guy, so they, sometimes they get a little nervous when they see me because they, are you gonna hurt me? But we're trained. I don't think people realize this. Like, the way that we're trained to deliver adjustments and the amount of hours we spend on that. And by the way, nobody wants to deliver a safer adjustment other than we do. I mean, we want, it's like, I mean, I very much want the adjustment to be fantastic for you, okay, for every reason. So we're trained in that, and we're very specific about where we adjust, and we understand what it takes to move a joint or not move a joint. And sometimes it's a process and it takes some time. Are there times where adjustments can be a little bit challenging? You've been doing this a long time we see some complicated cases. Okay. We see some tough stuff where people are coming in and they've been hurting for a long time and they've got failed surgeries and they're on a bunch of pills. And so we usually just have that upfront discussion so they know what they're, agreeing to.
Yes.
And say, hey, listen, might get a little bit sore, or when they start getting off medication sometimes because they're feeling better and pain is all around for a while. So, but I would just say by and large, the typical, if you watched me or you work all day long on patients, the response you'll see from patients is joy, right? Like, that feels great. So don't let that be why you wouldn't, the process of an adjustment, now if you ask somebody, hey, can you talk me through knee replacement? Everybody says the same thing about that. It's horrible. It hurts, hopefully it gets better. Or how's open heart surgery? Horrible, hurts, recovery. Most chiropractic, 99% of the time, it's just an awesome experience. Sometimes if it's a complicated case, it can be a little challenging.
Agreed 100%. It's kind of a silly question, but it's a real question because I've had the question in the past, and obviously people are asking it.
Yeah.
So next is 2 left, which are going to be.
We made it. We're going to make it.
Yeah, they're good ones. I think you're going to like these too. Can chiropractic care prevent future health issues? We did touch on this a little bit, but I think we can get into it.
One of my favorite quotes, I believe this was attributed to BJ, is, BJ Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. And he said, someday chiropractic will be known for its prevention benefits, more than it's known for the things that it helps get better. I beat that up a little bit, but, true chiropractic care at its core, in my opinion, Doc, is prevention. Okay. Now, here's the challenge. And I think this is one of the things that's awesome about our profession, but I think it's also challenging, is we're so darn honest, right? Like, so when somebody comes in and says, hey, you're going to cure my headaches, I usually say the same thing. I said, listen, I have full faith that your headaches can heal. What I can't do is promise you that they're going to go away tomorrow or after this first adjustment. Matter of fact, no doctor can. Even the doctor is going to give you a pill or a shot of Imitrex in your head can promise you that. Okay. So my point in this is when we are, it's sometimes used against us because we won't guarantee that result. Okay. So I can't say if you get adjusted, you'll never get a headache. If you get adjusted, you'll never get scoliosis. Well, that one I would probably contend, but you know what I mean, right? Like as long as I am very confident if you get regular adjustments, I'll say this, it is very unlikely you will get spinal degeneration. Okay. If you keep those joints moving appropriately, I mean, you got people in your office, you got your dad, I mean, just spines and your family, right? I bet if your spine looks pretty nice, right? You probably don't have degeneration, right? Yeah. And so chiropractic, but listen, there's a lot of facets to health. Okay. So there's how we eat, how we move, how we sleep, stress in our lives, relationships, things like that. So, but man, I got 2 kids. I got a 17, and I bet you can answer this, Doc. I got a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. They've never had a medication in their life. They've never been to the medical doctor. They've never had a, childhood, thing. And they're phenomenally healthy kids. To me, that's not luck. I'm grateful, but that's not luck. We're very intentional about that. They've been regularly adjusted since they were born. We manage their health holistically. And so I would say, to me, that's living proof. And then knowing people like you, and we've been in chiropractic a long time, there's a lot of us like this, right? And then there's our patients that operate by this. And so there's tens of millions of us out there living this way. I would say, anecdotally, it sure looks like we use Now, there's a good study on that. That one that showed regular patients that use regular chiropractic care use 85% less pharmaceuticals, have less medical spend. So there's evidences that agree with that. So that's kind of my take on it. What do you say about that?
Well,
or how do you operate?
I mean, there's lots. I touched on all the same topics you do, and I will add this in our orientation doctor's report where we share, we speak about some research, and one of the pieces of research that I'll share was put on by Dr. Christopher Kent, was one of the writers, and it talks about DNA repair under long-term chiropractic care. And why is that powerful? Because it can break down over time. And there are only 2 things that they found in research that actually helps the DNA repair itself. One is chiropractic care, long-term care, which is 2 years plus. And the other are nutraceuticals, think fancy supplements. But nutraceuticals didn't come close to chiropractic by itself.
Beautiful.
So I use that like, can it prevent? Sure. Because if your DNA is healthy, down to that like cellular DNA level.
Yeah.
What is the rest of the body? Aren't we just a big conglomerate of cells that's
And
organized intelligently?
wouldn't you say, being one of the benefits of being in practice a long time is you have people you take care of for decades, and
Yeah.
you just see them thriving. You just see them kind of, year after year, they just become stronger, more resilient, better able to handle these things. I forgot about the 2 years on that. And so back to that question earlier about how long should I get adjusted? Like, these are the things that people just didn't know. Now, years of medication use make me sicker. Years of chiropractic care make me healthier, like more resilient. Like, it's so beautiful. This is why it's so easy to fall in love with chiropractic, because it's like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the greatest healthcare profession
Yeah.
ever, in my opinion.
I
mean,
agree
obviously
100%.
we're
That's
preaching to
and
the
that's why we're
choir.
doing this because, for those of you listening, those of you watching, you can't see the excitement on our faces. We're like little kids talking about like getting the best toy in the world.
Yeah.
We're just like giggly happy. So,
But I found
let's
out when you said that, when we were getting ready, I was like, well, what's the show? What do you want to do the show about? And you're like, chiropractic. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I don't have to talk about, some crazy nutrient or, right. We just talk about the bread and butter here. So,
Yeah, exactly. So the final question
okay.
is a powerful question, and I think it's more powerful now than ever before in the history, especially of the United States. Is chiropractic care suitable for children and pregnant women? And then I'll ask the question, why?
Yeah. Well, again, sometimes the best evidence is the ones we've lived from personal experience. If you were to ask my wife, I don't think she would go through a pregnancy without chiropractic care. I know how much I love getting adjusted. I don't know. I can't imagine not getting regular adjustments with chiropractic. We're men, so we're not going to be having babies. But just think about the anatomy of that, from your hips, your pelvis, your spine, how a baby's carried biomechanically. Like, chiropractic adjustments make nothing but sense. And so I have seen some of the greatest miracles we've seen, Doc, in our offices are around pregnancies, babies, women that I know have had babies, and it was a tough one. Next baby, they under chiropractic care. They come in the next time going, this was unbelievable. This was a whole different birth experience. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Even just helping them sleep and stay comfortable as their body's adapting to that. Phenomenally safe. Matter of fact, this goes right back to our question earlier about the inherent safety of chiropractic. Doc, so many people, this will be one of those kind of for some people out there, but I've had many patients, just had it happen this last week. A woman that got pregnant, but after she started chiropractic care, she's been trying for 3 years, can't get pregnant, literally under care for like 2 weeks, comes in crying. I don't know what's going on. She's like, Doc, I'm pregnant. She didn't even attribute it to the office, and I don't even know if it was. All I know is been doing this a long time, and there are studies to verify this. But, people, because the body's working better. For some reason, it wasn't able to conceive because of, who knows why. But when we started finding subluxations and removing that pressure, the body heals. So not only is it safe, we actually help people often get pregnant. Okay. And that's a funny way to say that, but you know what I'm saying.
Right? I getcha.
And then, man, Doc, so I just had a little girl that came in this week. She had a birth trauma and a palsy on her arm. Okay. And from the birth process. Now, the birth process can be challenging. There's some great studies that show that children that are born, especially in a hospital setting where the doctor's pulling them or any mechanical force is used, that oftentimes those babies get subluxated in the spine. And the recommendation in the medical literature is to get them checked by a chiropractor. So I think it's a great idea. We check babies all the time. So this little baby's arm was basically palsied, all right? And so she brought her in. The pediatrician said nothing. Okay, the patient brought her in. We started working on her and adjusted her. And by the end of adjustment, she could get her arm up halfway. Okay, now, so to me, this goes back to your question about safety, a chiropractic for kids. But I would say this, chiropractic for a baby looks different than chiropractic maybe for you, Doc, right? I'm not getting on some baby's neck and twisting it or, right? I mean, there's a very specific approach to adjusting babies that I have trained in, that you have trained. We get training in school. Many often go on and get extra training and continue education in that. So again, oftentimes I just use the contrast. When we're talking about like safe things in healthcare for kids, chiropractic care is like the mothership. Okay. Now, make no mistake, there's powers that be out there in healthcare that don't want that story to be told. Okay. And I understand that. But the healthiest people I know, the healthiest people in my practice are the kids that have been adjusted since birth. Right? They were hopefully birthed naturally if possible. They were breastfed, if possible, with mama. and they got adjusted since they were born and they've avoided extra toxins and chemicals in their body, those people are my healthiest patients. That's been my experience. I can't imagine not adjusting. I mean, Doc, can you imagine not have been growing up getting adjusted?
No, at this point, no. As a kid, as a kid, I would wonder why, you
Mhm.
know, if I had like a sniffly nose and it would be in
At the
elementary
airport.
school.
Yeah.
No, even
Yeah.
being in school and the kids like, oh, you have a sniffly nose, you're gonna go get an X. Like,
Mm.
does your mommy give you like cough syrup? I go, I don't take drugs.
Yeah.
Like that was my answer. I
Yeah.
don't take drugs. My dad's a chiropractor, but my assumption,
Mm.
I think, that every other kid's dad, I know
Mm.
there are probably more female chiropractors now than men,
Mm.
but my assumption as a kid is every kid's dad is a chiropractor.
Mm.
Like that
That's
was
funny.
just my thought. Like everybody gets adjusted. What do you mean nobody
Yeah.
gets adjusted?
Well, I
Like,
was thinking about the adjustments we've had over our life, right? In or in sitting at the airport, or
yeah,
like how many times I've adjusted my kid at 2 a.m, in a hotel, or life happens.
yeah,
And so it's actually one of the greatest things about chiropractic. Like, I've always got these.
yeah,
We've gone over and done some mission work in different places around the world, and it's beautiful to know that with these two hands,
yeah,
and
for sure.
that we can have dramatic impact on people's lives. It's really powerful.
Yeah. Well, man, Doc, this has been an absolute blast. Glad we digitally reconnected. I know
Yeah.
we've known each other kind of over the years.
Well, everybody knows you guys and your family. Come on,
Yeah.
it's you guys are like the chiropractic legends. So,
Okay, I wouldn't say that. I take that as a compliment, but no, I look up to people like you. I look up to many people who inspire me to be better, to take care of people better, to be a better chiropractor and a better person. So, kudos to you. Before we close
yeah.
down here, tell everybody where you're located again one more time, and just the best place for people to find you so they can find everything.
Sure. Thanks, Doc. So we're in Orlando, Florida. So the Orlando metro area. My office is in a place called Kissimmee, kind of right by Disney area. That's our office location. And then probably best way to follow me is through our Design to Heal podcast. And then I think we are on Instagram, but our best, if you want to like stay in touch with what we're doing, the Design to Heal podcast, or I have a website, drbenrall.com.
Beautiful. That's great. All right, everybody. I'm Dr. Josh Hant. This is a Superhuman Powered Life podcast. You never know how far reaching something you think, say, or do can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. We'll see you on the next episode. Did you know that over 60% of Americans suffer from chronic health challenges like fatigue, weight gain, and metabolic issues? At Team Make Wellness, we understand that staying healthy feels harder than ever, but there's a better way. Our bioactive precision peptides are designed to enhance energy, reduce stress, and support fat loss, helping you feel better from the inside out. Imagine feeling energized, focused, and in control of your health. With Team Make Wellness, it's possible. Whether you're recovering from workouts, managing weight, or just want to feel better every day, our peptides deliver science-backed results you can trust. Take the first step to transforming your health today. Visit lifestylelocker.com/peptides to download your free guide and discover how peptides can unlock your best self. Once again, that's lifestylelocker.com/peptides.